السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Today we're talking about loving the Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And most people will tell you they love the Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what is interesting about this Ummah is that the word Ummah includes the past Muslims of the past, includes the Muslims that are alive on earth today, and it also includes the Muslims that have not even been created yet, not even been born yet. This is all part of the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Past, present and future, all in this one word. And many people will tell you that they love the Ummah, but they're very severe against the Ummah. So they're very upset when something bad happens to the Ummah. But beyond that, they're very severe against the believing men and women. They're very severe against anything that's Muslim, anything from this Ummah. And that's an attitude we don't want to have. Yani, you put your children in a Muslim school. You start to critique everything in that school. From the principal to the janitor. From the front door until the backyard. And critique this flyer and this color. And you also find a lot of times parents, when their children are in Muslim schools, they don't respect the authority of the Muslim teachers and the principal. They want to interfere in everything and tell them how to do everything. When they put their children in a public school, they don't open their mouth. Khalas. These people are doing whatever. Yes sir, thank you sir. We're so honored sir. They don't open their mouth, they don't critique, they don't have anything to say. Go to a Muslim store, you critique. Look at this, look at that, look at the chair. Look at the decor. You go to another place, thank you so much. They charge you $10 for some nonsense. You're like, thank you so much. So we want to be like in the middle, all right? And we will admit there's some things that are wrong with the Ummah. We still can't put our shoes on the rack. That's true. Go to any masjid. They have racks that are empty and the guy puts his shoes on the floor. We still double park, right? You go to traffic court and most of the names, Muslim names. We call Mr. Abdullah, Ahmed. Always calling Muslims because you have to understand where they come from. So they come from their home countries where there wasn't a lot of law and order, not just law, but not much order, and they're used to chaos and everything. So then they come here until they take like about an average 30 tickets, then they start driving straight and signaling before turning lanes and things like that. But it helps when you try to understand where our people came from. For example, a lot of you'll find sometimes Muslim populations in the US who are refugees and they spend time in refugee camps. So when there's iftar and they start going a little crazy over the food, you have to understand where they're coming from. And sometimes we have a lot of people who are illiterate. A few months ago, we were in Umrah. And let's be honest, like 90% of people just doing everything wrong. There's hugging where there's no hugging, kissing where there's no kissing. This stone, you touch it, la, kissing. This place, you just visit it, la, 2 rak'at. There's rak'at where there's no rak'at. Kissing where there's no kissing. Rubbing where there's no rubbing. Just everything is wrong. So what would happen, you find some people with you in the group who get so frustrated from the Ummah, so frustrated from people. What's a positive way of seeing this? The positive way of seeing this is that we are still in a time, in a day and age, where people revere the Kaaba, where people still love their Prophet ﷺ. Even if they express it wrongly, I want to see a positive in it. Because there is going to be a time when nobody will care about the Kaaba. And Nabi ﷺ said in the hadith, يُخَرِّبُ الْكَعْبَةَ ذُو السُّوَيْقَتَيْنِ مِنَ الْحَبَشَةِ. So an Abyssinian man comes and destroys the Kaaba. And the Prophet ﷺ describes him physically, and he's going to take it apart brick by brick. Prophet ﷺ said, كَأَنِّي بِهِ يَقْلَعُهَا حَجَرًا حَجَرًا. He's going to destroy the Kaaba brick by brick and no one will care. Aren't we honored that we live at a time when everybody cares and reveres about the Kaaba? Yeah, they're rubbing on it all over the place and they're trying to rub on the Rukn al-Yamani and kiss it, but there's no kissing there, and they're fighting and punching each other over the black stone. Fine, at least, it's not correct, but at least there's still that love. There will come a time, and Nabi ﷺ said, when the two wolves or a dog will come and urinate on the mimbar of the Prophet ﷺ in the masjid in Medina, because Medina will be abandoned. And when you go to Medina now, you see how much people love that city because it's the city of the Prophet ﷺ. So yes, there is positive even in amidst the chaos. But the real question is then, what becomes your role when it comes to what's happening in the Ummah of Muhammad ﷺ? Because you cannot love the Prophet ﷺ so much and then hate his Ummah. It just doesn't work. So that means we have to have rahmah and love towards this Ummah. And no matter what, whether we put our shoes on the racks or not, we are still the greatest Ummah ever sent forth for humanity. For Muslims and non-Muslims. Allah Azza wa Jal says, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. And when a nas appears in the Quran, it doesn't mean Muslims, it means Muslims and non-Muslims. We're supposed to be the best thing that ever happened to them. So, my job isn't just going to be critiquing everything that's wrong, highlighting everything that's wrong with my ummah, but my job, your job, we're part of fixing what's wrong with the ummah. And so, like the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, ad-deenun nasiha, the religion is sincere advice. And the way the Prophet ﷺ worded the hadith, he made it look as if all of Islam is giving advice. So the scholar said that how can you then be Muslim without ever giving advice? As for giving advice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to it in the Quran as al-amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi al munkar, that you enjoin what is good and you forbid what is evil. The scholars differed on what is the ruling on enjoining what's good, forbidding what's evil. Some scholars said it's fard kifaya. Yani, if one person does it, it absolves the rest from the responsibility. As long as there is a group enjoining what's good, forbidding what's evil, or giving da'wah, then not everyone else is removed from that responsibility. Just like when someone makes the adhan for Isha, you don't all have to get up and also make the adhan. He does it on behalf of everyone. But the other group of scholars said no. Enjoining what is good and forbidding what's evil is an individual obligation, meaning everybody in the ummah, within reason. Don't tell me someone in a coma or solitary confinement, within reason, someone who is ambulatory and someone who is sane, everyone is obligated to enjoin what is good, forbid what is evil. Male, female, young, old, educated, uneducated, child, everybody has to do it. So the scholars explain that on your basic level, on a basic level, everybody has to enjoin good and forbid evil. So let's suppose there is a simple man living in some simple village somewhere and he doesn't have any knowledge of the religion. He just prays 5 times a day and he doesn't even have knowledge of the dunya. He uses tree parts and makes brooms and next day he sells the brooms in the market. What could he possibly be obligated to give as far as advice and correcting and so on? He can be walking by 2 young men smoking and you tell him, Ya walad, don't smoke. What's your dalil? I don't know the dalil. I know smoking is haram. He sees 2 children using bad words. Ya walad, don't say that. His partner next to him in the market maybe cheated a customer. When he leaves, he can tell him, listen, ittaqillah, don't cheat people. So everyone in the ummah is able to enjoin good and forbid what's evil. We love the ummah and we want to see it go to other places. We want to see it to be like the best thing actually that happened to people. And people look up to the ummah. Musa alayhi salam makes a dua in the Quran and it's so powerful. And he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, لا تجعلنا فتنة للذين كفروا. Don't make us a fitna, a test and a trial for those who disbelieved. Meaning, look at the non-believers around you and look at all the things that are pulling them away from Islam. Their desires, all kinds of misconceptions, all of these issues that are pulling them away from Allah Azza wa Jal. Add to that, on top of that, then when they look at the Muslims, they don't find anything good there. They find chaos, they find Muslims killing each other, they find Muslims having, bad economies, bad politics, bad governments. So then they still tell themselves, for sure this is not the truth. You know what that means then? That means our conduct and our bad behavior becomes another reason why people won't become Muslim. It becomes another fitna. So we want the best for our ummah. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Some people just critique and they're severe against everything Muslim, everything Islamic, and they critique the masjid and they critique the paint job and they critique everything. And some people are part of the solution. They're always advising one another. They're always correcting. And that is our job. That is what we're supposed to do. Because once again, if you love the Prophet ﷺ, then you definitely love his ummah. Jazakumullah khair for attentive listening. Sallallahu barak ala Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.